The royal parks in London are visited by nearly 30 million people every year. The appreciation for gardening is a well-known British trait. Not only is the Queen a devotee, but it seems the entire nation is willing to spend big money on their backyards. According to banking giant Lloyds CSB, UK gardens are now crammed with exotic plants, high-tech tools, luxury furniture and commissioned landscapes, worth a whopping $37 billion.
Well, the British culture of gardening goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Well, that's one of the reasons why gardening is so great in Britain, because the British climate is so changeable. It kind of suits everything. It's not too dry, it's not too hot, it's not too wet.
Taking advantage of this perfect climate, Woodham's Flowers Landscape and Design has been building gardens for the past 14 years. Mark Owen took over the business 5 years ago. The company has since grown 200%. Its current portfolio includes 40 projects for celebrities, corporate titans and millionaires. For this prestigious clientele, privacy is part of the service.
I can't tell you who, but I can tell you how much it was. The most expensive project we've ever been involved in was around about £590,000, and this has subsequently gone on and further projects have been attached to that. So when you get involved in those sort of numbers, for a private garden, it's huge.
Despite the global credit crunch, the financial downturn is not putting the garden design business in the shade.
I think that naturally the macroeconomics always has an effect. Our particular niche is quite high profile, and I think that people feel sometimes to cheer themselves up, they certainly want to have a fabulous garden, and that's what we try to give them. Our own business hasn't really seen any downturn. What we try to do is create a wow.
His most challenging project to date, a 10-acre country garden that may take up to 2 years to complete. It's just one of 15 million private gardens in the UK.
Basically, each time you go back, you have a different vision, because the things...
In cities where few gardens exist, from New York to London, well-maintained green spaces can increase property prices by up to 20%. Tina Nicholson and Joanna Harold designed this rooftop terrace in South Kensington, costing $50,000, a refuge from the cramped surroundings of central London.
It's not lost money. We've had other clients who have sold their properties quite easily because the garden has been designed. So more and more, 10 years ago it used to be considered that it was an expense that you couldn't recuperate. I don't think that's the case now.
Business is blossoming too. With revenues of $5 million, the 5-year-old company has grown 5-fold.
We've probably got about 60 jobs at different stages of development. It goes...
About 7 or 8 being built at the moment.
But the whole process usually takes something like 6 to 9 months from initial contact with the clients to being in a build stage, unless we've got something which is really urgent or a job which is very large to build. It will take about a week to use £5,000 worth of budget on an ordinary sized garden.
Designers and do-it-yourself gardeners visit centres like this. Established in 1851, Clifton Nurseries is one of the oldest in London. Despite Britain's rainy reputation, when the weather is beautiful like this, these centres can make a staggering $400 million on a single weekend. Not surprising when you consider the price tags on some of the items, like this 50-year-old olive tree sold for $3,000.
This year we're promised some good sunshine, so the trend this year is going to be for more of the Mediterranean plants and say silver leaves, anything that looks a bit more exotic. That tends to be quite big for us in London.
Even in hard economic times, when consumers are tightening their belts, the passion for this very British pastime continues unabated, proving that for this market there's only one season: spring.